welcome. You are here today for the Monitoring Plan Development course. My name is Marla Helly, and I will be your instructor. Just a little bit about myself. I have been in clinical research for 25 years. I started out as a research nurse at an academic center, and then I've worked for both sponsor and CRO companies as a CRA and also a clinical project manager. And I'm certified as a CCRA and also through PMI as a project manager. So our learning objectives are the following. At the completion of this course, you should be able to develop a monitoring plan to meet the unique needs of your project and your protocol, as well as identify factors to consider when developing a monitoring plan for a risk-based monitoring approach, and then relate the plan to the CRA and site performance to meet project goals and promote continuous improvement, which is always important for us as either trial managers or if we're working with sites as a CRA. We want to continually see improvement in our quality of the work. So what are the costs of poor performance? I'm going to open the line just in thinking about the potential cost of poor monitoring or poor site performance in clinical development of a project. Have you ever thought about some of the costs that could occur to the project that you are working on, or has your company looked at some of the risk or the cost of performance?
We have a couple, well, not a couple, we've had one study recently had to, and not necessarily due to poor monitoring, but it was more along the lines of poor protocol development and then poor site selection. It was a big monetary drain, and there wasn't a lot of data to be pulled from the subjects that were enrolled.
Oh, yeah. And so this is a great lesson learned. And often with startup companies, which are wonderful because they bring in a new concept, perhaps they may not have some of the expertise, and this is not to find fault, but sometimes they've learned from the lessons of perhaps poor protocol design or development, as you've mentioned, and then also not being able to use that data. And this does tie into our monitoring, so great job. I'm going to move forward to this next slide. And when I look at this next slide, I have some images here. And so some of the cost can be rework. So if we didn't design a monitoring plan that help the CRAs when they go out to monitor to look at what they're going to be monitoring or also understand the data that they're looking at, we may have to do rework. So we may have to actually go back and then re-monitor, which costs money. We could have a warning letter to a site or to even us as the sponsor or the CRO if we've hired a CRO because we've done poor monitoring. And so that's our responsibility that we have as the sponsor company to ensure that our investigative sites are following the protocol, and then we're ensuring by our monitoring plan to ensure that the sites are also doing what is in the protocol, as well as protecting the human subject. So ensuring that such things as the schedule of events and the procedures are being followed, as well as ensuring that SAEs are being reported. So all that ties into human subject protection. Also, too, can you imagine the trust that we could lose if we were working for a company such as a CRO and we designed a monitoring plan that was not developed properly or had gaps, where we could actually lose trust either as that company or as an individual. And so that's important too. So that's something that I always look at. And also too, I had this image of this gentleman up here with the steam coming out of his ears, trying to show frustration. I think there's nothing more frustrating than to see that we've created something that doesn't work, because then our quality is going to be jeopardized. And so this all ties into how important it is when we are developing our monitoring plan that we build in quality from the get-go.